Hi guys, it's Sarah Todd. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about the positive aspects of having a disability. I think it's great to focus on the positive aspects of having a disability because oftentimes disability is seen as such a negative thing. And disability really doesn't have to be a negative thing. Just because a person has a disability doesn't mean that they can't live a happy, productive life. The topic of disability and even the very word disabled have become such a negative thing in our culture that people are too scared to talk about disability and they try to hide what it truly means to be disabled. It's gotten so bad to the point that some people are even too scared to say the word disabled because they think that disabled people might find it offensive, and they're replacing it with words like, please help me. Differently abled. Gosh, I have such beef with the term differently abled, and if you want to know why, you can watch my video about it. I will link it up at the top for you guys, but that's a whole other topic. Anyway, I just think it's really important that we recognize that disability isn't all negative. There are positive aspects that can come out of having a disability, and that's what I personally, as a disabled person, choose to focus on. I became paralyzed from the neck down in 2010 when I was 8 years old. I will link the video where I share my story on how that happened up at the top for you guys. But since this happened to me, I've chosen to focus on the positive aspects of my life because I've realized that I've experienced way more positive things out of having a disability than negative things. Living with a disability has taught me so much. I started learning life lessons really early on after I became disabled. I, of course, learned that your life can change drastically just like that, and that the best thing and really the only thing that you can do is accept that and move on and continue to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Even when I was in therapy at 9 years old, I told my physical therapist, life isn't always fair, Erin. If life were fair, no one would have to do therapy. And so this is just an example of a really big life lesson that I had already learned at such a young age simply from having a disability. And it showed that I realized that doing therapy wasn't what most 9-year-old kids were doing. And I was different in that way. And I realized that that wasn't fair, but that was what I had to do as a kid who just happened to have a disability. So I really learned life lessons throughout all aspects of living my life and dealing with my disability. These lessons have expanded into multiple different realms. I was an avid dancer before I got my disorder. And dancing was something that I just really loved, and it made me so happy, and I really thought that I was going to be a professional dancer when I was a little 8-year-old girl. So after I became disabled, one of my main goals was to get back to dancing again, which was really difficult because even though I regained the ability to walk, I couldn't move my arms and hands like most dancers could, and that meant that I couldn't do a lot of the dance moves, which was so hard for me because when I first got back into dancing, I was really upset that my dancing wasn't how it used to be. But then I quickly learned that that's okay. I didn't have to look like most ballerinas do just to be considered a dancer. Just because I have a disability, that doesn't mean that I'm not a dancer. And this is how I discovered my love for choreography, because I decided to adapt the arm movements to better suit my body. So now one of my most loved hobbies is choreographing dances so that the movements work for my disability. And even though I loved dance before I became disabled, I never would have thought about there being dancers who can't completely move their arms. And so this was just yet another lesson that I learned from having a disability. I learned that dancing can be whatever you want it to be, and you don't have to conform to society's standards of what a ballerina should be just to be considered one. In 2014, 4 years after I became disabled, I performed on stage for the first time since getting my disability at a camp that I went to for kids who were affected by the same disability as me. And this was the first time that I'd ever performed a solo or a dance that I'd choreographed myself on stage. And that was such a huge moment for me because everyone was cheering for me and they were all so proud of me. And it just really showed me that they considered me a dancer. they knew that I was a dancer, even though my arms and hands were partially paralyzed. And so that really gave me the reassurance that I could keep dancing and that choreography was really something that I loved doing. And I think it's really cool that having a disability has taught me so much about a hobby that I had before having a disability. And it's even helped me expand that hobby into something more. Now I'm not just a dancer, I'm a dancer and a choreographer. So I think that's really cool, and I'm really proud of all that I've done with my dancing and my choreography. Even what I consider to be my greatest accomplishment has come out of having my disability. When I was 10 years old, I started writing my first book, and it was published when I was 11. It's called 5K Ballet and a Spinal Cord Injury, and I've written 2 books since then. They are all put together in a trilogy. They're called Determination and Up and Down. I wrote these books because I didn't want anyone in a situation similar to mine to feel alone or like they had no one to turn to. And it's been so fabulous being an author and doing book signings and getting to meet people who have read my books. And I've also been able to give back with my books because I donate a portion of the proceeds from each of my books to various charities. And to be able to make a difference like that feels so good. I've even been able to give my books to some really cool people, which is also so fun. I had my Make-A-Wish granted in 2014 and I met One Direction and I got to give them my book and it was so cool. They loved it. Harry Styles told me I was amazing and they were so impressed with that. So it's really cool just to get to have famous people have my book. I've given my books to Bethany Hamilton. I love her so much. Ali Stroker, Chris Ulmer, he's so sweet. Maddie and Mackenzie Ziegler. And yeah, so it's just really cool to get to give my books to people and see their reactions and to spread more awareness about my disability with my books because so many people haven't heard of my condition before. So it's really nice to be able to get the word out about my condition to such a large crowd through my books. Writing books is also not the only kind of writing that I do. I also do quite a bit of writing articles for magazines and newspapers. I've been featured in 17 magazine, J14 magazine, Girls Life magazine, and a few others. And I've written for publications like The Mighty and Love What Matters. And this is especially cool because through these platforms, I'm able to reach an even larger audience and reach people outside of the disability community. So it's great that people who maybe haven't even been affected by disability or who don't know someone who has a disability are learning about disability and realizing that people with disabilities can still live great lives by reading my articles. And through these publications, I also hope to encourage teenage girls especially and let them know that they can accomplish what they want to accomplish. They don't have to let anything hold them back, whether it's a disability or any other challenge. And I'm really pleased that I'm able to use my disability to help others in that way. It's so amazing and really rewarding and just makes me feel so good and really happy. Writing is not the only way that I get my message out. I have been featured in a Barcroft TV mini documentary where the focus really was on how focusing on the positive aspects of having a disability can really help you achieve your goals and accomplish your dreams. And that reached a really large audience, so it was really cool to get to share my story that way. And I've even shared my stories on podcasts and through other speaking engagements. And this is such a great way for me to provide encouragement to people, like when I've spoken at schools and I've shown young children that they don't have to let anything hold them back and that they are perfectly capable of accomplishing what they want to accomplish no matter what challenge they face. And another thing I definitely would not have ever heard of if I didn't have a disability is the adaptive clothing trend. I've made a video showcasing some of my adaptive clothing that I have and talking about how it works, which I will link up at the top for you guys. But adaptive clothing is really so cool. It's clothing that is made for people with disabilities who have trouble getting dressed. And I'm such an advocate for this trend because I have trouble getting dressed since I can't do buttons and zippers because of my disability. So adaptive clothing has really helped me in terms of my independence. And I want as many people as possible to know about this trend because I know so many people with disabilities and even people without disabilities struggle with doing buttons and zippers, and adaptive clothing could really make a difference in their lives. So I'm so pleased that this is something that I'm really involved in. I modeled in New York Fashion Week last year as one of 40 disabled models wearing adaptive clothing, and this was so incredible to raise awareness about adaptive clothing and the need for people with disabilities to be represented in the fashion industry is something I'm so passionate about and so thankful that I'm aware of, because again, I really don't think that I would be aware of this issue and so many other issues if I didn't have a disability. And I'm really thankful that I have that perspective. And gosh, one thing that so many able-bodied people think that people with disabilities can't do by ourselves is drive. And I've never really understood that. Like, I've wondered if they just think that we just let people drive us around all the time, or like, I don't know. It's just crazy to me how people think that even though there are so many people with disabilities, there hasn't been some modification made so that people with disabilities can drive. Like, I find it kind of funny, but I realize that if I didn't have a disability, I would most likely think that people with disabilities couldn't drive. So I don't really blame them at all. But I can drive with adaptations. I got my license last year and it was so incredible. This was such a huge leap in terms of my independence, and it's so fun being able to drive. So I'm really thankful for that opportunity that I had to learn to drive with this equipment and get my license. It really was such a big accomplishment for me. And yeah, I think it's super cool that I'm able to do that and that adaptations like that exist for people with disabilities. That's so cool. And I think more people need to realize that. So there definitely needs to be more awareness regarding adaptive driving because it's actually more common than most people think. And finally, my most recent accomplishment is that I got accepted to Davidson College in North Carolina, my dream school. Applying to college was such a daunting and extensive process, but I got through it, and I even made a video on that too. You can check that out. I'll link it at the top for you guys. But I'm so excited to be going to college. I'll be going in about a month and a half, which is insane. And yeah, it's going to be so fun. I'm going without my mom. I'm going to be completely independent. I will just have some accommodations, and I'll be sure to bring some adaptive items that help me, like my adaptive clothing and some of the products that I mentioned in my Products That Help Me Be Independent video, which is linked up there for you guys as well. And that is just so huge for me because, like, seriously, when I became disabled 10 years ago, 8-year-old Sarah Todd would have never thought that I would have done all of the stuff that I've done. It's seriously crazy for me to think about. Like, I'm so proud of all that I've been able to accomplish, even though I have a disability. And I really just want to use these experiences that I've talked about to let you know that you can accomplish anything you want to accomplish, even if you have a disability or any other challenge. You don't have to let it hold you back. I'm honestly so thankful for all that I've been able to accomplish, all of the positive things that have come out of having a disability. And I love that I've been offered a new perspective as someone with a disability because it's allowed me to contemplate the deeper meanings in life and develop a strong sense of empathy to better understand others. And I think it's really important that we learn to appreciate our own perspectives as well as other perspectives and learn that everyone's unique perspective can offer something of value to the world. Every experience that we endure in life offers us a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing things. And I think that's really beautiful, and it's something that needs to be appreciated. So I hope that you guys can think of the positive experiences that you've had in your lives and appreciate them and use them for good to help others and to help yourself, because you, no matter what challenge has been thrown your way, can surely accomplish anything you want to accomplish. And I really want you to remember that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss a video of mine. I post new videos every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and I hope to see you at the next one. Remember to stay positive. Bye.